Hi, this is Rick Atkinson, author and narrator of the audiobook The Guns at Last Light. The Guns at Last Light is the third and final volume of what I've called the Liberation Trilogy, which recounts the American role in particular in the liberation of Europe in World War II. The first volume, An Army at Dawn, is about North Africa, the invasion in November 1942 and the subsequent campaign to take Tunisia. The second volume, The Day of Battle, is about the campaign moving across the Mediterranean to Sicily and southern Italy. And this third and final volume, The Guns at Last Light, is about the invasion at Normandy in June 1944 and the subsequent campaigns across France and into Germany until the end of the war. I was a newspaper reporter, and I lived in Berlin for several years in the mid-'90s for the Washington Post. And I had been born in Munich and had lived the first 3 years of my life in Europe. So I had, as an Army brat, deeply imprinted on me as a child initially, World War II. It was very much a part of my heritage as an Army brat. And then it was reinforced when I was back in Berlin in the mid-'90s, and I was there for that endless succession of 50th anniversary commemorations of D-Day and of the Battle of the Bulge. And I recognized that it just had a deeper grip on me than I think I had recognized previously, that first of all, that it's bottomless, like all great events in history. There was more to write. And I also saw at that time that the story is really a triptych, that there are three panels that inform one another. It begins in Africa, and then it moves to Italy, and then the third panel is Normandy and Western Europe. And once I recognized the architecture of it like that, I thought that this was a challenge that I wanted to take on. When I'm writing, I read aloud frequently. I think that the sound of the words is important as you're writing. My writing process is probably as painful as anyone else's. I spend, first of all, years researching in various archives, large and small, all around the country and around the world. And then I create an enormous and complex outline of what the book is going to look like and where to find all the information that I will use in the book. And then when I sit down to write, first of all, I have a roadmap with this outline. I sit down to write. I write about 1,000 words a day. As an old newspaper reporter, I'm pretty fast on the keyboard. And invariably, either as I'm writing a section or at the end of the day, I will read aloud to myself in order to be able to hear more fully exactly what the words on a page sound like, which I think is quite important. The process of recording allows the author to hear the work in a somewhat different way. You hear it rather than read it, and it penetrates the brain from a different angle. It's quite useful, I think, and it allows me, particularly since it's been a while since I finished writing the draft, it allows me to see the work in a different light, as it were. There are many favorite moments that I have, having written so many. And one of the favorites that sticks with me is one of the first in the first book, An Army at Dawn. And it occurs when General George Patton, then a two-star general, goes to visit President Roosevelt in the White House in October 1942, shortly before he is to take his command secretly from Norfolk and sail across the Atlantic in submarine-infested waters to land in Morocco as part of Operation Torch, the invasion of North Africa. Patton is there with the Navy admiral, whose name is Kent Hewitt, who will command the task force that's ferrying Patton and his soldiers across. And there's something about it that there's an innocence, really. It's the beginning of the war in a serious way for the Americans in fighting the Germans. They will not fight the Germans when they first get to North Africa. They'll be fighting the French, which is one of the reasons they're going there. And Patton is Patton, and right from the get-go, he's brash, he's impetuous, he fills even the Oval Office with a man as large as Roosevelt. And Hewitt is an entirely different kind of character. He's a sort of soft-spoken, excellent seaman, a great fighting admiral. And putting the three of them together in that room at that time and launching what will then, for me, be this very long, arduous journey until the war in Europe ends. That remains something that has stuck with me now for 14 years.